TempDB, what are its uses? Well, it's used for sorting, much like that space on your floor or your couch where you take your laundry and you dump it out so that you can sort it and fold it. TempDB is kind of like that. You use it for sorting, for index rebuilds, for big queries, for temp tables, for row versioning, and that is very useful for triggers and for snapshot isolation levels. Concepts you may or may not have heard of, that's okay. The important thing is, if you don't set up TempDB properly, performance will be slow. So how do you do that? I'm glad you asked. Here are the recommendations. You need to set up quite a number of TempDB files. So we look at how many cores you have. If you have a bunch of cores, you should set up for every 4 cores you have, you should set up at least one TempDB file, maybe up to 1 out of every 2 CPU cores you have, up to a maximum of 8 TempDB files. That's for the data files. You only need 1 TempDB log file. Ideally, you should separate TempDB data and TempDB log on different disks. But if you're putting this on a solid state drive, that doesn't matter. They can go in the same place. There's a couple knowledge base articles I call out. One that says, please don't shrink TempDB. That'll hurt your performance. And another one that talks about how to move TempDB. We also need to size TempDB properly to begin with. This here is a report that's found inside SQL Server, the disk space usage report, and it shows us a database here that has a lot of empty space and that the transaction log is also relatively empty, and you can see that we have quite a number of data files for it. And most importantly, you see right here in the middle, no entry for autogrow/autoshrink event for TempDB in the trace log. That simply means that since the last time the SQL service was restarted, it doesn't have any record of TempDB requesting an auto growth. Why is that important? Well, auto grow is a timely process, a time-consuming process. And when TempDB has to auto grow, there's a couple things that happen. One, the TempDB can grow in fits and spurts all across the disk. For another, there's the time it takes to grow the TempDB files, either the data files or the transaction log file. So these are things that you don't want to have happen right in the middle of running a synchronization or people on the MIM portal trying to do things, trying to update a group, and it needs to process stuff and it needs more room. So those are things that we want to avoid. It's okay if you see that your TempDB data files and transaction log files are sitting there unused most of the time. That's what we want. We want it pre-sized for peak times. One other note about the item here is that TempDB, it gets recreated every time you restart SQL Server service, which means that if you don't size it properly and you just count on auto growth, when it restarts, it's going to go back to where it was. And it's going to have to go through the same painful auto growth as before. So, size it properly to begin with and save yourself some headaches. Since that was clearly one of the more superior technical how-to videos you've ever seen in your life, I highly recommend you check out our latest video, our playlist, and subscribe.